Hi, welcome back to ACL Stands. In this episode I'm going to be taking a look at this little LG micro hi-fi system. This is the model CM3430W. This has Bluetooth, compact disc, MP3, fairly modern looking design. I like the sort of low profile look on this one, like a sound bar. It's also got the woofers there at the back. CD unit at the bottom here. Nothing really else to say about this. It's pretty ugly and modern looking. Now this was given to me by one of my neighbours who heard that I was fixing up boomboxes, so they brought it up here and they were having a problem with it. And one of her kids actually pulled on one of the cords here and has done something to the DC in jack. And if you have a look at the DC in jack here, you can see it's moved off to the left of the hole position here, so I'm guessing that that's been broken off, possibly cracked off the board. Hopefully not too disastrous, but the rest of the unit there, it's got USB phones port in, it's got air direct reset, not sure what that is, wireless button there, there's a coax FM antenna, the CD unit is on the bottom, speakers, I'm guessing. Find out what's inside, kind of cool just to open it up and have a look inside, just for educational purposes I guess, so just to help her out. Okay, so I've removed the screws on here and I've got no idea how this comes open. Some manufacturers like to do is hide screws underneath the rubber pads here. So I'm guessing maybe that there's screws under here. Yep, and there they are. Well, these rubber feet are actually looking pretty worn. So if I've got some there, I'll put some new ones on. Okay, so there's 4 screws here. Hopefully that removes the back panel. Pretty sneaky on this one. They had the 2 covers on here, and once you take those off, it actually reveals another 3 screws in here and then another 2 screws down the bottom. So they didn't want you to go into this unit. Okay, so let's try that again. Basically just hidden everything behind this plastic cover here. Okay, so we've got a couple of connectors that can't go into the wrong connections. That looks pretty good. I think this can come out of here. Pull those connections across there. We should be able to access this section here, and we can pull out this plastic cover. I think it's probably going to have clips and screws down the sides. So yeah, we've got those 2 woofers there. We've got the speakers up here. And I think what I have to do is take these speakers out to get to this main board here. So woofers here, they can go in either way. You can that way or that way. I think that's both look pretty much exactly identical. So they can be reversed. These probably can be reversed as well. Looks like they can be, so that's good. Okay, so there's a look inside the unit so far. It looks pretty basic, nothing really hard to get into, so I'm actually quite surprised. So we can see all the boards are pretty much in the center of the unit. If we flip this thing up here, I've just removed a screw over here on this left-hand side of the board. If we flip this up here, it should be a case of this sliding out. You've also got these connectors on either side, so you'll have to be careful of those. Be able to just latch that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove that tape, get a little bit more space to work with. I can always stick those back on. Okay, so I'm just going to spin this board around now. I've just actually gone and removed one of the connectors just to make it a little bit easier. This is the side here that we want to access here, and you can see, I'm just going to zoom in, you can have a look at that jack. Yeah, that's quite a nice little job they've done on that. It's actually cracked the shell. So what I think needs to be done, we're going to have to remove this metal top plate. Hopefully that's not too tricky. There's a screw in here I can see, which is probably going to have to come out. Screws on each sides of the plate, so they'll have to come out. I should be able to just slide that top plate out. One thing I'm liking about this unit so far is the fact that it's using all the same type of screws. Clips on here. Generally, this connections at the back is your center pin. I removed this incorrectly and took off this whole back leg piece, and it removed all the solder from inside. Now this is a double layer or multi-layer board, I'm not sure which it is. What happens is when you remove that leg, it removes the contact. So these type of boards is just snip off the legs and don't try to desolder it because you can destroy the boards. On this particular board, this back connector here that I'm pointing to is your positive. And this positive side is on the top of this board here. So you can just do a continuity test and you can see where that's connected to. This one just runs to this resistor and then it runs all over the board. So what I had to do was just scrape off a little bit of the circuit board just so I can see the trace underneath, and I had to put a little bit of solder there so I've got a connection point. So really important, if you have these type of jacks and with these layer boards, just be careful not to remove the legs in the board, and that way you've got easy solder points. Got some of these little flush mounted connectors. This should fit around that hole up at the front there, so hopefully it should do a nice clean job. Also mark on the board here your positive and your negative, just so it makes it a little bit easier. So to fit these in, these are around about 7 mils or 7.25 diameters, and you can see the hole is too big for this one. So what I've done here is I've got a little washer here that I've drilled out, and that'll just go over the top, and that should work pretty nicely for that. So with these connections, the longest one I think is the negative. Yeah. So let's look at the new DC jack and spin that around. So yeah, really nice and clean. Put again that washer at the front there. Also the washer that you can see here. I actually had a laser cut a little acrylic washer for the back section there, and put the bolt in. I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue just around here, so stop this from coming loose. So that looks pretty good, and hopefully this one should be all good. Before I put the hot glue on here, I'm just going to test this out. I've just got it connected with the power pack. Switch this off and fix up that rest of that jack. Also ordered in a replacement plug here. I'm just using these type of connector here, but I really do want a 90-degree angle connector for that one. So this look at the jack there. I've got the hot glue on there. That should stop any movement. So yeah, pretty nice. So put all this back together. Make sure we connect all these ribbon cables back in. So there we go, the LG repaired, and hopefully this video has given you a little bit of help in fixing your own units. Pretty easy to replace the jacks, so order a stack of these little 2.1mm female jacks here. These are like flush mounted 2.1 jacks. Hopefully this video has given you some insight into one of these units, or if you've got a similar type of unit that you need to replace the jack on. It's not that hard. Just be aware of those legs and just snip them off. Don't desolder them, otherwise you can wreck the board. So there you go, that's it for this episode. I want to thank everyone for watching. I really appreciate it, and until next time, I'll see you on the next project.